your philanthropy has been geared toward women and girls. Tell me about that. Everybody picks what's most important to them. Why was helping women and girls most important to you?
Because if you pick this subject, you helped every subject. You somehow are involved in all the problems in the world. In all the conflicts, no matter what they are, women are the most affected. And plus we have to deal with many others that you don't need a conflict to deal with, like domestic violence. Like when I got to France, everywhere I go, I always find my cause and I always work with the different communities, but France was like such a great place that it was hard to find like a cause. But you know, at the end of the day, no matter where you go, there's always domestic violence. There is no place in the world, no matter how evolved the country is, there's always domestic violence. So,
how have you changed that?
Well, we have worked in France with many organizations that target specifically domestic violence, but also through the Caring Foundation, where I am part of the board and is the company of my husband. This is the first private initiative company that has trained personnel around 200 in France, Italy, and the UK for detecting cases of domestic violence within the company, because many of the times the women victim of domestic violence, they don't go to work because they can't. They are bruised or there's some problems, and they lose their job because they cannot say it's because of this. And in this company, the personnel is trained to detect it early and to be able, in absolute confidentiality, not only not fire them, but support them, help them, and find ways to get them out of it.
Hayek Pinot co-founded Chime for Change with Beyonce. Its goal is to promote international women's empowerment.
Tell me about Chime for Change.
We are working with more than 120 different NGOs, and what's great about it is that everybody is welcome. But the beauty of it is what we are doing is only giving the power to the people. There are so many people who want to help and do something, and they don't know how. And I was one of them once, and I had to struggle and find the things on my own. And now through Time for Change, through social media, we can inform you of all the different challenges that women are confronting around the world, where we organize them in 3 different subjects so that it's easier to detect: health, education, and justice. And we tell you who is doing what in that place, how can you contact them, and how can you help.
Hayek Pinot was born in Mexico to a Spanish mother and Lebanese father. This week, she came to Washington, D.C. to receive a Kahlil Gibran Spirit of Humanity Award from the Arab American Institute.
It's her pride in her heritage. It's the fact that she's embodied that pride in her heritage now in a film that will teach a generation about Kahlil Gibran, who's so important to all of us. It's also about the work she does with women and girls. She's an activist who has done some really extraordinary things in several countries, and we're proud of that. And it's a combined package that for us is worthy of recognition.
Tonight, it's a magical night.
What does it mean to you?
It means a lot to me. It comes from the Arab community in the United States. It comes at a very special time for me. I had tried to go to Lebanon with my family 4 times in the past, and always something happened, so there was sort of like a curse, and I couldn't make it. And finally I make it to Lebanon, and it was the most extraordinary trip. I was very proud to be able, that for the first time that I went to Lebanon, I didn't go empty-handed, but I was able to bring the Kahlil, the movie about Kahlil Gibran's The Prophet, based on the book.
Hayek Pinot debuted her animated film at a theater in Beirut and visited the Kahlil Gibran Museum. While in Lebanon, she also visited with Syrian refugees.
Tell me what you saw in the refugee camps.
I saw a lot of cases of really, really moving cases where I see the help being at work. However, I also encountered that the challenges are way bigger than one could possibly imagine. And it's in the courage of these children and of these families to not just to survive, but to survive with dignity.
You are known mainly as a Latina, born in Mexico, movie and soap opera star in Mexico, and then movie star here. Is this sort of a way to show the world that you also have?
No, the reason that I was born, that I was known as a Latina is because to the Americans, because of my accent, they could see nothing but a Mexican. And they don't see beyond that. So because I was known through the movies and I was typecast as a Latina, probably I was not known, but I don't even know how they never noticed that. My name was Salma Hayek, it's not Maria Gonzalez. So it's very clear that I've always been very proud and I've always talked about it. But I am happy that I'm not just an actress, and I'm also a producer, I'm also an activist, and even though in the eyes of Hollywood or of the entertainment industry, I was a Mexican, so that's what the parts that I got. Through some of the other work that I do, I was able to embrace in my work also my love for this part of my heritage.
As an advocate for women's rights, Hayek-Pinot stands with fellow actor Patricia Arquette. At the Academy Awards, Arquette called for pay equity for all women in the United States.
Do you get paid equally? For example, she was saying that in Hollywood, women and men aren't paid.
No, nobody gets paid equally. No, of course not. We don't get paid equally, but we also don't get the opportunities equally. And also we don't get to tell our stories equally, and we don't get to entertain. I mean, for example, for women of our generation, there is really not a lot of movies out there, unless they're very small movies that are dramas. Nobody puts the money for like big entertainment for women of our generation. The younger ones is changing.
One last question. You said you had to marry when you were single, and then after you married, you had to find a man with bigger than you have. And I think women love you for that. What is it? How do you raise your daughter?
They are rare, huh? But I found one.
Right. But how do you raise your daughter to be that self-confident that you could say that?
I don't think I have to do anything specific because she leaves it at home.
What advice?
Trust me, she has it in her.
But what advice to other women who want to raise their daughters to be strong?
Live the example. You must be strong on your own right, so that when you tell your daughter, she respects you.